take projection.
Well, welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am good. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Just enjoyed a nice holiday weekend. A real hot one, of course. And we are recording Monday night, folks, because we both were on the road yesterday and too tired to record by the time we got home. So,
Exactly. I wanted
well,
to
yeah,
give you guys some quality.
yeah, got some sleep at least. Not really a lot to talk about, honestly. Not much has happened in the sports world between over the past week. I guess the biggest thing, if we're going to look at NBA free agency, off-season stuff, DeMar DeRozan sign and trade to the Kings
To the
today.
Kings. God.
Yeah. It's just kind of whatever. I don't know really how much he adds to them,
Right.
that they kind of don't already have.
I mean, they got great guard play.
Yeah, they got that.
I don't know.
Um, yeah, I don't know if that really, puts them over that play and hump. They're
Uh,
close. And who knows? Maybe another year for some of their younger guys, and
right.
that's what does it for them. But didn't really move the needle for me as far as a trade. How about you?
No. I mean, not really. I mean, I would probably say the biggest thing probably out of that, I mean, if you're the Kings, it's better to have him than them go to the Lakers. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess it's better that you at least do something to improve your
right.
squad, and
Yeah.
he doesn't go to a rival or something.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I know.
but yeah,
But other than that, I mean,
other
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know if it makes them better or not. Does it put them over? Does it put them back into the playoff fight? Where they're a contender? Like 2 years ago when they had one of their better seasons in what 20 years. But I don't,
yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah, I think it definitely adds another score on the team for sure. That's great.
right,
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll be
right,
wrong, but it just didn't not a huge earth shattering. You kind of saw it on the ticker or whatever, and you go like, all right.
yeah.
Um, and other than that, this past week mostly just kind of uh, um,
What's just whole? I guess
extensions. Yeah, and
a
then
bunch of
smaller.
extensions, smaller stuff.
hmm I mean, we got Buddy Hield joined Golden State on his own little
I thought
sign and
that was
trade. That
interesting. That
I'm about to say,
was
yeah,
that was probably the more interesting out of the kind of the mid tier guys. I thought that was
hmm
interesting just because I mean Buddy Hill is still a heck of a shooter, and that offense that they're running Golden State.
hmm
I mean, of course he's not Klay Thompson, but I mean I think
but
he could put up numbers there.
yeah, and he's always been a solid shooter. Always been a
Right.
name that's kind of a lot of people have kind of thought the Lakers should get because of his shooting. And
Yeah.
fit. And with that, and that's another one. Yeah, it kind of helps replace what Thompson the hole he leaves.
Right.
Like you said, probably a really good fit in that offense. So you never know. I thought that was like you said, an interesting one. That one did kind of catch your eye a little bit.
Right. Just because I
The
mean
other one,
I remember when
go
Buddy
ahead.
Hield did. When he took over college basketball for that one season, I mean, he was just a highlight reel.
hmm
And he really hadn't lived up to that in the NBA per se. But, at any point, he could drop, I mean, he can drop a quick 30 when he's on. Like,
Yeah,
so that'd be fun. See what he does
yeah,
there in Golden State.
yeah. And that's one of those. As they hit that awkward point in all dynasties face at the end of it. It's Steph is obviously still a top tier player.
Right.
So you can't just blow up around him, and he doesn't want to rebuild at this point in his career. Who
Right.
does? You don't want to turn into like Kobe's last few years of the Lakers, where you just had a
Definitely
bad
not.
team around him. Yeah,
Guy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that
Unless
was
you,
kind of a sad way to go out. Other than that, final little
yeah,
season with the go around, everybody give them a celebration. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
You don't want to see folks' careers really end like that. And I mean the Warriors were pretty much. I mean they've been kind of on that line for a little bit anyway. Kind of where they're kind of
Yeah,
a playoff team, but not really.
since the
You
title a
know,
few years ago, yeah, they've really kind of went off the other side of that hill.
right.
So
And
they're
even that
trying to
last title
stay
kind of
relevant.
they kind of pulled that out of, they're kind of falling off, and then they pulled that out, and people were like, whoa, that was kind of a miracle title run as far as like no one really expected them to pull that out that season based on what they're kind of falling off a little bit, but they're
Yeah,
always gonna be
absolutely.
someone of a contender with. I mean, yeah, a person of Steph's caliber is at least gonna keep you in contention for a play-in, and just because he's that good of a player, and if everybody, I don't know, fits the role and everything, but I guess I saw somewhere, they were kind of thinking, that was kind of the with how the move is happening. That was kind of probably one of the last times you might see what we would call a dynasty, probably for a long time.
Yeah, with the new apron system being implemented by the NBA, it makes
Hmm.
it harder to build these kind of super teams, and unless one team just gels, kind of like the
Right.
Warriors, obviously, honestly did.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, all
I
those
do
guys were
think,
drafted there. It wasn't like that they
yeah,
went
exactly.
out
They
free
built that
agency.
through the
And,
draft and development, and a free
hmm.
agent here or there, but by and
Right.
large, it's guys they developed. You don't
Exactly.
see that too much in modern day.
No.
But you never know. There's always, people say that a lot. I feel like, and there's always kind of outside of maybe baseball seems to be like the one dynasty-proof sport. We haven't seen a repeat World Series champ in what going on 30 years now.
Right.
Uh, so or 20 some at least. I guess the
Yeah.
Yankees were a
Definitely.
little later. Yeah.
Definitely been quite some time there. Yeah. Baseball definitely. I mean, if you, I guess the NBA is kind of have the more. I guess.
The NBA is kind of notorious. It has like a dynasty every decade, going
Right.
back to
Yeah.
the Celtics way back in the day. And then
The
the 80s Lakers and Celtics,
Lakers,
the
Celtics, of course, the
90s
Bulls in the
Bulls,
'90s.
the Spurs in the 2000s, and the
I mean,
Lakers, at
the
the beginning of
Spurs,
the century.
Lakers. I mean, the
Yeah.
Lakers had to run with Kobe and Shaq, and
hmm
the Spurs would have 5 titles in what, 10, a 20-year
It's like a
period,
12, 15
give
year
or take.
period. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, the Warriors got there. What did they get? Four in about a 8, 9 year period, something like that.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, the NBA is kind of the most, I think, dynasty laden professional
right,
sport anyway. Obviously college sports tend to
right,
favor bigger programs like
right.
that.
And I think, it's just a matter of, just because it's 5 people on the court. So, of course, if you have, 3 All-Stars, that's going to have a big factor on the entire, that's why we started going for that big three model where everybody's trying to get, 3 superstars on the team. And surrounded just because 2 or 3 players can have so much impact on the game and control everything. Whereas, football, baseball, one person only can do so much. And so it's way more that you can control, with 3 of the 5 people being all stars on the team. So that seems to be a big reason why, NBA, we've seen a lot more dynasties in our lifetime than anything else, or a lack of, I guess, a variety as far as champions for the most part.
Right. But yeah. Other than that, if we're going back to off season talk, I have one kind of interesting one to me.
Hmm.
James Wiseman, 2020 second overall pick to the Pacers.
Hmm.
A guy with a lot of talent, kind of a interesting skill set for a big guy, just hasn't quite clicked in the
No.
NBA yet. With the Warriors, got traded to the
Hmm.
Pistons. Now he'll sign a free agent contract with the Pacers. He'll obviously be a backup to guys Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam there.
Right.
Um, that could be a decent spot for him, though. It's a well coached team,
Right.
good guys to learn from. Could be one of those late bloomer guys that at least turns into a solid player. If not a role player, maybe a starter down the line. But
For sure.
that was just something I noticed. I was like, that's kind of an interesting spot for him. A good team,
Right.
playoff team. Obviously, they made the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
And
A
folks to
lot of
learn
talent.
around.
Yeah, exactly. Not the mess that was Detroit. Um, not
I never.
he was.
I don't think he really fit in Golden State per se.
No, it was a weird pick by them. They kind of had to. There was that weird year they had the second overall pick.
Right.
Uh, they took him because of the potential and the
Right.
talent. Um, but yeah, it was a weird fit for them. He got his minutes kind of in their bad times there,
Right.
when Steph was injured, when Clay was injured. Um, and then like we said, went to Detroit. Bad team there. Played a
It's
lot.
just,
Played in
right.
66 games last year, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's got some. At least he's got some minutes now, which is important for these young guys. So
Right.
I just thought that was kind of one I just like keep in the back of
Oh
my
yeah.
head, and
Just never
see
know.
how he does
Yeah.
there.
That's how it does. For sure.
Other than that, like we mentioned, a bunch of extensions this week for people. Miles Bridges staying in Charlotte. Just kind of like things like that. Some minor
Hmm.
uh, signings. The Pelicans signed Daniel Thies. So they have two centers on the roster now. Still doesn't really solve their
Right.
issue. I don't think you want to go into the Western playoff race with Daniel
No.
Thies and a rookie as your center.
I just send him
And
some. Probably,
yeah, and by all
probably not.
accounts, they're not going to be able to work out something with Ingram because it seems like they don't want to pay him the max, and he might feel like he's worth it. And so, unless they work out something, and plus they got to think about guys down the line. Next year Trey Murphy will be up for an extension. You want to
Exactly.
extend him. He's a budding star for you,
Right.
so he's going to get some good money, you would think.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This.
just interesting. We're still waiting on that, and there's not too many options out there unless there's just a shock trade coming somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
And as far as with that new system, I mean the GMs and the decision makers definitely have their work more cut out for them. It's not so much, fudging numbers or moving things around to make it work. Like you actually have to have a specific plan in place because you can't, those old tricks aren't going to work anymore.
mm-mm. But yeah, other than that, I thought the biggest thing beside those this week, Kemba Walker announced his retirement. Um, Kind of a short career for a guy. Injury career, his body didn't really hold up,
All right.
unfortunately. A mentally talented guy. We've talked multiple times on this podcast about his UConn run in the tournament one year. Um,
He had some good years in Charlotte, but I mean, Charlotte,
he did.
and he got him to the playoffs. I mean, you look at it, I mean, that was pretty impressive. He actually got that team to the playoffs.
Right.
But it's not like they got on TV much. So I mean, people really didn't see I guess, the height of when he was, and he, really didn't work out in Boston. But yeah, I mean, will always, always be best known for his amazing 2011 run through the Big East
Hmm.
tournament and then the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's things of legend. Um, just because, I mean, there's one thing to go through one of them, but you went through two tournaments, Big East when the Big East was the Big East. Still,
Hmm.
it's still a gauntlet. And then, turn that into a second weekend there in the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's just amazing run. So I mean, that's what he'll best be known for. I mean, But you know,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
not a horrible career.
no,
4-time All Star, All
yeah,
NBA third
solid
team.
career.
But just once he got, went to Boston, his body just kind of betrayed him there,
Kind of
and
game, yeah,
he went to New York, his hometown, the Knicks, too late in his career. Only played
yeah,
37 games there.
yeah. I
Had a
mean,
9-game spell in Dallas.
yeah.
Played last year in Monaco. Uh,
He's
so
put up crazy numbers. I mean, he was put up crazy numbers. Was he signing this past year? That's like he
mhm.
was dropping big. But yeah, I mean, but you know, I mean, more. I would say more than that.
Yeah,
More than the average career. There are plenty of money. I mean, his family set for life. I mean, you can't ask for too much more. Lived his dream.
no,
Long
and he's
NBA
going.
career. Though,
Yeah, and he's
so
going into coaching.
right,
He's going into coaching, so he'll be around the game. And a smart mind too. So we'll see there. Maybe he develops into a better coach than a player, and that would be a lot considering he had a solid career.
right. And that's
Like you
a
said, 4-time All Star, All NBA team. That's a you can't complain about that
yeah,
career.
exactly.
Um,
And that's the thing
but
with
other than
that
that,
coaching with with like some people just don't certain stars they just aren't don't turn into great coaches. Just because like the Kobe's of the world, the Michael Jordans have such a mindset of why can't everybody do it? Be like me, they don't understand the average player.
right?
That's why some of the best coaches are the kind of the middle tier guys or the bench guys because they see it from all the different perspectives and not just a superstar perspective. Um, but Kimba, I think he definitely has, of course, a great basketball mind. I think I think he could be a fine coach with whatever wherever he wants to go, whether it be the NBA, college game. Um, I think he'll be fine though.
Yeah. Um, so good. Best of luck to him.
For sure.
And of course, like we said, you'll always have that UConn tournament run that year.
Yep.
Just one of the best in the history of the sport
For sure.
as far as individual runs. Other than that, yeah, there was nothing else from the NBA that really stood out this week. Like you said, it was a slow
No.
week.
No.
Elsewhere, soccer's dominating the conversation, of course, with the Copa and the
Yeah.
Euros going on. They're both in the semifinals now. In Europe, we'll have Spain versus France and England versus Netherlands.
Right.
And the Copa will have Argentina versus Canada, the neighbors.
Canadians.
Yeah,
On their little run.
great job by an American coach there, Jesse March, their manager. Great job by him.
Yeah. For sure.
And then the other semifinal down there is Colombia versus Uruguay, who kind of upset Brazil in the
Hmm.
quarters on penalties. Um, it was a chippy game, but so it should be a couple of good semifinals though.
It'll be entertaining.
Yeah, in both tournaments.
A
U.S.
lot of
men's
them.
national team. Of course, all the talk's been about will they replace Greg Berhalter. A lot of former players and analysts calling for it. They say you just can't
You
have
can't.
that kind of performance,
Yeah.
especially when you're going to host the cup in a couple years. We kind of hit on that last week as we
Yeah.
recorded during the Uruguay loss.
It's
But
more
yeah,
or less
that's
just a win than anything. But
no, yeah, it's just unfortunate that you host such a big prestigious tournament and you can't get out the group
they can't
stage, and
exactly.
you have all the talent, as much talent as you've ever had on the team, and you just
There
don't
is enough.
get the
Can't get past
results.
a
And
certain point.
yeah, and at some point you just got to look like what has Greg Berhalter done to really
Right.
say that he deserves a job to lead this team into a second World Cup.
Exactly.
Uh, but other than that, like I said, I didn't really have anything going on this week in the world of sports. Did you?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess, a lot of, well, I mean, I see it especially on social media. Of course, a lot of people catching a lot more WNBA action.
Hmm.
As far as that, just with Angel Reese set the women's record for triple doubles. Of course, there was a lot of conversations going on about that. Yeah, but for the most part, not too much. I mean, we're just kind of almost at an all-star break in baseball, and we had the teams announced.
Yeah.
Summer league start in the NBA. SEC
Hmm.
media day next week.
Oh Lord.
I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
the kickoff there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
next Tuesday.
kind of little stuff. There's plenty going on, but kind of nothing major that's really dominating
Right,
the news cycle.
exactly.
So with that, we've talked about it in the past. I said I had some stuff I could pull out to at least give us conversation. We're under 20 minutes right now, recording time. So here's what we'll do. I have a crazy idea. Uh, Not too crazy, I don't think, honestly. I'll just explain it to Greg, and we'll see what he thinks about it. And that way we get to talk a little bit more. If you read the Alabama Take and some of my past pieces, when I used to actually do writings on there.
Mhm.
I'm a big guy. I love to play around with kind of realignment formats. Change things around, play with teams, put them where different
Mhm.
places, changing the way that leagues kind of run.
Right.
So I have an idea for the NBA. So, and it's kind of modeled Adam Silver. A lot of things that he's kind of doing are modeled after European soccer leagues, and the success they have building into huge brands and leagues, and kind of the you can't run like the NFL because the NFL is kind of a unique thing that we're really the only country that does big time football.
Right.
Sure, there are little football leagues around the world, but the NFL is the league, and that's it. There's if you want to play pro football, you go to the NFL. Basketball you can play all over the world. The NBA is obviously the best league in the world
Right.
by and far. Where you want to play, there's no shortage of good leagues around the world, especially in Europe, where you can play quality basketball.
Hmm.
So, with that said, my ideas for the NBA. The first thing you do is you expand by two teams. You get to 32. It's a good number.
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
get to that why. I think the two teams, the obvious one is Seattle.
Right.
Bring back the Sonics. They deserve it. Great sports town. They support their teams.
Yeah. For sure.
Some great unis back in the day. Let's bring them back. The second team, it's probably Vegas, right? Vegas is
Yeah.
gobbling
Yeah.
up all the pro sports teams now.
Oh,
They're going to get
yes.
the A's. They got the Raiders. They got
I got the
the
hockey.
Aces and the WNBA. They got the Knights and the Golden Knights and NHL.
I mean, why
Uh,
not get all the major sports in one? And the
exactly.
gambling capital of the world.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
got the arena. Vegas is finally accepted by professional sports in America.
Yeah.
Now that they
They have
all
plenty of basketball arenas there. Because, I mean, it seems like a lot
exactly,
of
yeah.
conference tournaments happen every year in Vegas. So,
Mm. Yeah, you play wherever. I don't know the name of the arena, but where the Golden Knights play.
right.
So okay, you do that so you can separate into four divisions uh, by geography. I'm big on in pro sports. You should have geography.
Yeah.
It saves on travel cost, yada yada, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
it's good for fostering rivalries. Uh, it just makes more sense that way. I feel it's easier for scheduling, to do things like that. So my idea, so if we were to break them up into these divisions here, you'd have the West. You start there, so you would have Seattle and Vegas, your two
Hmm.
expansion teams. Portland, Sacramento, Golden State, the
Hmm.
Clippers, the Lakers, and the Suns. So that's
Yeah.
your Pacific Division.
Right.
Okay. Then you have your kind of central division, you'll call it. Utah, Denver, OKC, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, New Orleans, and Memphis.
Yeah.
Kind of a little further stretching, going from Utah to Memphis, but they kind of all grouped kind of similar in
Right.
there. And you can have little pods, if you want, some rivalries, obviously. Uh, that's already Memphis, New Orleans, and the three Texas teams are already the Southwest Division. So
Right.
you're adding OKC, Denver, and Utah there.
Yeah.
Then you do an East Division. Let's see if I'm getting my numbers right. Actually, I'm doing this on the fly here, but you got your
Uh-huh.
Celtics,
Yeah.
Knicks, Nets, Sixers, Wizards, Raptors. Oh wait, no, I might have screwed myself up here. Not done math right on this. Let's see, because let me do my central first. That usually makes it easier for me. My central or my north would be Minnesota, Milwaukee, Chicago, Indiana, Detroit, Cleveland, Toronto. See, this is where I always screw myself. I'm missing one team here. This is why when I do the expansion here, sometimes I flirt with not doing Vegas as a team, but maybe something like Louisville. Kentucky, great
Yeah.
historical basketball state. Louisville, great basketball city. Are they too close to Indiana? Maybe, you never know, but
Right.
there is something right there. Or maybe a Kansas City. Kansas, the home of basketball. The
Right.
birthplace. Um, do they deserve a team? St. Louis, another great
St.
Midwestern
Louis.
city that
Right.
deserves more,
But
pro
always,
teams.
always loves their teams. I mean,
Yeah. So you could do something like that and flirt. Anyway, you guys get the idea. You do it by geography. You could also play around with like a Southern Division and kind of do Miami, Orlando,
right.
Memphis, New Orleans, and the three Texas teams. I would give you an 8-team division and kind of move. Okay, so you get the idea anyway. 4 divisions
Right.
based on geography. That makes the scheduling easier. Because as far as the schedule goes, then you could do either. You could do either if you really want to go soccer out. You could just play each team in your schedule twice. One's home, one away. And with 32 teams, that would give you 31 opponents twice, 62 team season. Now, whether the owners want to give up 20 games from regular season, probably not.
Right.
But maybe you convince them to drop 10 games or whatever. And you do kind of a tiered system. You have little bubbles of teams, kind of like now where you play certain teams in your
More
division more
nervous.
than the rest
Right.
of the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where different at the end of the playoffs. Obviously, we don't have an East and the West anymore, so you just do winners of each division get the top 4 seeds, and then
Right.
you take the next 12 teams to round out your 16-team play field. Get rid of the play-in, no more of that.
Right.
So that way, you just 1 through 16, you get your matchups. I think that's the best way to get the best possible finals matchups. Because my problem always with the West and East, conference splits in pro sports is you don't always get the 2
The
best
best
teams in the.
matchups. Exactly.
Yeah, like there's a lot of times a conference semifinal or a conference final is actually the de facto title series because
Right.
the team that wins that is going to go on to
It's gonna
win.
win the champion. Right.
So, that could always still happen again. But this way, you kind of set the table up to where, hypothetically, your top 2 teams could have a favorable path to get to you.
For sure.
I'd also, because I'm an old school guy, I always liked it. Make the first round a best of 5 again. I don't know why I like that so much. If I ever play like 2K, I'll change my settings to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. No, probably because we just grew up with it, so it just seems right. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
exactly. There was something about those. It seemed like it made upsets a little harder. It was more monumental. Like when Denver upset Seattle, and I think that was the first ever 8-1 upset. It's just kind of urgency to it. Gives the players a little bit of rest. And then here's where I start to get a little crazy. So I mentioned Adam Silver, and he loves soccer, European soccer, model after it. I love the concept of promotion relegation in sports. It's great in soccer because it means all the games matter. There is no tanking for a top
Right,
draft pick. There is no. The games mean something for the teams at the bottom of the standings.
exactly.
Even at the end when they're well out because they want to keep that paycheck. They want to keep that big
Oh,
time
sure.
TV deal money. It really means something to stay up, like in the Premier League. Like you don't want to finish, in those bottom three places, but 17th means you get another year. You get that money. You can try to improve.
Right.
So let's do that. Let's make the G League the second tier. Let's get some more teams in there.
Mhm.
Let's end the affiliations with the NBA teams. They can set up, academies, or you expand the rosters so you can have young guys, your second round picks at your projects. Uh,
Right.
Expand your rosters, and you can have like basically developmental league games, under 21s like they do in soccer. You could have your young guys play so they have some competition, but they're also practicing that way. They're practicing every day with the big guys, the stars, and they're learning from
Right.
them.
Right.
That's the problem with the G League is you do get a lot of playing time. It's great, but you're not practicing with real big time ballers every day. And I think that
Exactly.
that does a lot for you. So let's do that. And then let's introduce promotion relegation to the NBA. Let's have fun with it. So what you do is you also divide the G League into four divisions, and then the last place team in each division, and you could do this kind of similar geographies, whatever, plays the first place team in each G League division in a 7-game series, and the winner of that is in the NBA the next year. So
Mm.
the last place team is fighting to stay in the league, and that G
Right.
League team is fighting to come up and get that
Come on.
glory. Especially these
Yeah.
teams that are in kind of smaller markets. Imagine the Fort Wayne team.
Man, get
All of
moved
a
up to the
sudden
league.
they get
Yeah.
to come up and
That'd
they're
be
playing
sweet.
against Indianapolis.
Right.
It's a cool concept. It's something I know NBA, American sports owners will never do because they have the
No.
closed leagues.
Too much
It's the
money.
money's too much money. But I just think it adds a lot of fun. You get more guys playing high stakes ball. I think it'd be easy to sell to TV for contracts. ESPN, Fox, NBC, they eat those. They're not gonna.
They would eat that up. They would
Yeah,
eat that up.
these the G League games aren't getting big primetime spots, but they're still getting TV. With
Right.
streaming services now, you can choose what you watch anyway. So you could have your G League package there, and
Yeah.
for real basketball diehards can watch that. They'd love it. And then those ratings for those, uh, you have those, uh, the promotion and relegation series. You could have them anytime. You could have them before the playoffs start. You can have them going
Mm.
alongside the playoffs too. Kind of a
Yeah.
first round barrage, kind of their own version of March Madness almost, where you have not only the first round playoff games, but you have these four promotion series going on at the same time. That's just so much basketball going on. You could start it in
Right.
the afternoon, uh, just really make take
And
over a month.
honestly, those promotion relegation games may actually get bigger numbers than the one NBA playoff series just because
Yeah,
people are
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
want to see them, they want to see the impossible.
Exactly. Yeah. It's one thing for an 8 seed to upset a 1 seed. That's cool. It's great, but it's not like college where that's a monument. It's not a 16 over
Right.
one. But yeah, the I have to look up G League teams. But let me see where are they at. I'm trying to find the weirdest. Let's see where we got because a lot of them Delaware. A team from Delaware getting in the league.
Hmm.
Birmingham. Hell, we got the Squadron here. Great to see them play big time basketball.
Right.
You have Sioux Falls. Could you imagine them making a miracle run to the league? Um, we got a team in Mexico City. All the big leagues talk about wanting to expand in Mexico City. There you go. Get them in
Right.
there.
There you go. Yeah.
Austin has a team. They're a
Yeah,
big time city that doesn't have any pro sports teams. You
exactly.
know, um, it's just something to think about.
For sure.
Obviously, maybe some of these teams, that Memphis has a team there, they'd probably move out of Memphis, I assume. Maybe somewhere close, but that kind of stuff you worry about, later on down
Right.
the line. But I just think it creates something fun. The other thing I do, I'd start. I think we've talked about this before, but after COVID and with the bubble, they had to delay the start of the next season. They started around Christmas time, and
Yeah,
I think we've talked about that before, but I think it'd be a cool
we
thing
did.
for the
Yeah,
NBA to have their opening day on Christmas Day.
yeah,
Uh, that's their big. They've always had the big games. NFL trying to butt in on it now, but
right.
that'd be a way for the NBA to kind of take that back too. If it's they just have the three games. When they schedule them at the beginning of the year, it looks good, but you never know. One team might suck it up, and then all of a sudden you got a
Right.
ho hum matchup. But when it's opening day, it's great. All those
Yeah,
ratings, a lot of people might tune in that over some, kind of
mid
late
tier.
season, mid NFL game.
Right.
Um, it's just something to think about. But other than that, I think pretty much hashes out all my details of it. So it does. My question, I guess, does that make it the NBA more watchable, less watchable, or about the same to you? Is it-
Well, I mean, I think, of course, there's going to be people that are going to watch NBA no matter what. Um, I think if you, the promotion relegation, I mean, I think if anything, that's going to be the part that at least gains more eyes, at least until people get used to it. The first couple of years, I mean, you're going to get some casual people because they think it's, interesting, for, Fort Wayne is playing, I don't know, the Pistons and, a thing for moving up, you know, to be to be an NBA team next year. I think that's going to catch a lot of casual eyes and maybe not even your biggest basketball fan, just because people like to see upsets. That's why people love March Madness, whether they watch a lot of basketball or not. So I think you would get a lot of eyes on that type of thing, and just a chance of seeing the history, seeing that upset. So I think that would be the biggest thing that we would get from that. Also, like I said, getting rid of the vent, the East and the West. I think that will help. I don't know, some the overall maybe viewing for the playoffs, just because you have a better chance of getting your better matchups, and you're not getting,
Mhm.
like a series last year, you're probably not going to get a Celtics Cleveland series, something that was ho hum, not nothing that's going to gain no one super, unless you're a Celtics fan or a Cavs fan, you're not really sitting there watching that series like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
it's so riveting. You're not going to get less of those type of matchups. Well, I guess what you say your NBA TV playoff matchups, you really don't go on TNT or ESPN,
Yeah, yeah,
not per se. So I think that really what you gain from it is probably better chance of getting your better matchups, and then just that excitement of that relegation. Um, I think that's going to get eyes on itself, at least for a little bit, just because it's something new, something different, and people love to see that type of story. As far as the upset and just interesting just to see it as well. When somebody does move up, can they stay there? Do they struggle? Moving up from the G League to the NBA because that's a big jump, and just
yeah,
how that works out for them, and whether they can stay competitive. Is it kind of a one season type of thing, and they're back down because they really never, uh, became the better, um, a better team there, or able to move. Because it's one thing to pull the upset, but the 82 game season, or if you move it even a 60 game season, if we took some games down, just see if a mid or G League type team can stay in the NBA for 4 or 5 seasons. That I think that'd be pretty interesting to see as well there.
No, yeah, that's always one of the big things in soccer is these teams that come up. It's always
Right.
fun. Some of them completely storm the league and they're great, and it's they show they belong. Some of them go right back
Hmm.
down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be interesting. From a owner standpoint, I think that would get a lot of rich guys want to own sports teams. That way, you could get some teams on the discount, and then if you do make the league, the NBA, you can throw some money into it and try to stay there and make
For
it really
sure.
relevant. Get your tax break, whatever rich guy reasons for owning sports leagues.
Right.
Um,
And then and then if there's an off chance of see if a G League team that came up ever to win the NBA title, that'd be something and stuff right there.
yeah, right. The kind of the miracle stories, like the
Exactly.
little team from Rio Grande that started off a G League team, got into the league,
Yeah.
stayed there, and after 10 years or whatever it is,
Won
finally
the
worked
title.
up to a title. It's great. It's exciting. It's something that
It'd be cool.
is missed in professional sports in America. Is that kind of that small town hope? And the NBA, I think, has always been the perfect league for that. They have a team in Portland.
Hmm.
Um, they have teams in kind of markets that aren't, that don't have other, Sacramento, that don't have other professional teams.
All right.
So it's just something, just a fun idea. Like I said, it's just something
Oh
to
yeah.
get us talking more, and so we don't have a 15-minute podcast.
Right. But I think that would it'd be cool. I think the NBA probably the best league to do it in just because I think it's the league that does the most. I guess just change things up or changes with the culture more than anything. They like to stay cool and stay hip with the kids. And I think also so I think the NBA would be perfect for it just 'cause they like to transition, make moves, and you know because I don't see that working in the NFL per se, just because it's such a discrepancy as far even
Hmm.
if you did have like your uh, you have your UFL, XFL type teams. I mean, just the talent level, just so. I mean, there's no way. I just don't see those type of teams. Being able to beat a NFL team. I think it's much. If there's anywhere that's going to happen, but I think basketball probably is going to be the best league as far as the possibility of a G League moving up and then being able to build enough. Because really, I mean, just because what the NBA teams with 13 players, of course, is gonna be tough for them still. But I mean, there's a much better possibility of it working out there than other, whether it be
Hmm.
football, baseball. I just think it's talent level's a little bit closer as far as the league, NBA and the, G League. Just because there's you look at it. I mean, there's so many great players from college. I mean, you think about it, I mean, there's like 30, if we had, even with the expanded team, there's 32 teams, 13, 13, 14 players on the team. I mean, there still leaves a lot of, over the years, a lot of talented players, not in the
Hmm.
NBA per se. So, I mean, and if they have a reason to stay in the U.S.,
Yeah.
the G League, you have the chance to move up to the NBA. I mean, because we see a lot of guys go, play in Europe, and they sit home and G League team because they can have that chance to relegate themselves, move up to the NBA. I think I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned basketball, the talent level, and all that. And basketball is a kind of sport where we mentioned Kimba Walker's UConn run. One guy can just
Hmm.
get on
Take
fire
over.
and lead a
Yeah.
team. Yeah, take over. And it would be fun to keep some of those college stars back in the game. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. I know I was missing something. Get rid of the one and done rule.
Hmm.
Go back to when if you want to draft a kid straight out of high school, awesome.
Hmm.
Or if they too many kids now, it's ruined the college game to a degree. These guys going, they were going to go for 1 year. It's changed the way coaches recruit.
Right.
It's just a little crazy sometimes. So get rid of that rule. Have guys go to college that want to go to college.
Hmm.
Like I said, I think Major League Baseball's got the best of those. Um, NFL's got a good one. You got to be 3 years out of high school. It makes sense for NFL because your
Right.
body needs time. You can't have a
Yeah,
kid
you
fresh out of high
can't
school.
go to high school to the league.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't want
Yeah,
a 18-year-old
don't want to
running
see him
back being
die.
chased down by Micah Parsons. That's not going to
Yeah,
end well
it's
for him.
gonna. Yeah, no.
Uh, um, but the MLB, you can either come out of high school, you can draft a kid out of high school, and you can, if you're the kid, you can take the contract, go to the minors, start your
Right.
professional career, or you can go to college. But at college, you got to stay the 3 years. So um, the same thing, or you got to be 3 years of high school. So that
Right.
way, you actually stay in college, you commit to it, you
Hmm.
develop, and then you can play pro ball. So I always
And
thought
I
that was a
think
good
it'd be
system.
easier,
Yeah.
right? And then it's also easier now too because of NIL. I mean, you look at it. I mean, a great college player that maybe we know is not going to have the greatest NBA career,
Hmm.
is going to stay in college because hell, they can get 500,000, $1 million.
Yeah.
Um, whereas he was going to the NBA because he was the hottest name. Like for example, we stay with Mark Sears. 5 years ago, there's no doubt Mark Sears, whether he's going first, second, he doesn't care. He's going to the league. You know,
Hmm.
just because this is, he had his time to shine. People know his name. There's not going to be an opportunity for him. Now, I mean, he, thought about going to the league, but at the end of the day, he came back to college because, he was going to make probably more than he may have made on his two-way contract or, second round contract, whatever, whatever he ended up. So, yeah, I think that the NIL would definitely allow that to help the college game because, people are going to maybe stay 3 years because they were able to make money, able to support, their mom, their little brothers, sisters, things that they felt pressure that they had to go to the league because it was, that was always a plan for them to more or less take care of the family, whatever they needed to do there. They can do it in college. And it also is going to just help the college basketball fan because, unless you're a, hardcore fan or you really, follow a specific team because that's your team. There's not a lot of, I don't know, some of the magic has kind of gone just because, honestly, the casual person doesn't know who the heck they're watching.
Hmm.
People are there 1 year. You don't have these, same players coming 2, 3 years. In the '90s, even when we were kids, you know, um, the Duke teams, Carolina teams.
Hmm.
You knew that they were going to be there 2, 3 years. You knew who everybody was.
Yeah, you knew the big
Uh,
teams. You knew the star players on small
right, the star
teams.
players on, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, you don't really see like a Dwayne Wade much anymore. He played four
no,
years at Marquette. Which a
right.
solid
That
school, but
ain't,
not a blue
but,
blood. And
yeah, but that's not happening anymore.
yeah, and then he became one of the NBA's best players for a decade and some change.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, it's just an idea. Like I said,
Yeah. No,
if I
I
were in
think it
charge,
would.
that's the way I'd do it. But that's just me.
I think it could work. I think it would definitely get eyes on the game. Just for the fact of that relegation part, and you have the better options as far as the playoffs. You have a better chance if everybody stays healthy of getting a true uh, two best teams making the finals or um, playing somewhere in the playoffs. course, upsets do occur, but at least the Celtics, didn't play the. I don't know if you had it like the the Celtic, the better chance of seeing like the Celtics and the 76ers.
Hmm.
You don't have better chance of that happening with just the 16 best teams there rather than the East West and match up based upon that. Um,
And with the way I was thinking, the design of the four divisions, and then
mhm.
just the best 16 teams. That way, you don't have some of these years, especially we see it a lot with the West. The team that finishes like 11th in the West will have a better record than the sixth
Right.
best team in the East, and that
Yeah.
way they don't get screwed over. If you've got the 11th best record in the conference in the league, then you're in the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah, for
This year,
sure.
so just to like if we use this year as an example, 1 through 16 would have been, Boston, OKC, Denver, Minnesota, LA, Dallas would have been there as your 6th seed overall. The Knicks, the Bucks, the Pelicans, the Suns, the Cavs, the Magic. Let me see where I'm at now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The Lakers, the Sixers, the Pacers, and then the Heat would have been your 16 seed. So your matchups,
Hmm.
would have been, you know, Boston versus the Heat, which happened anyway. But then you get some interesting ones like OKC would have played the Pacers in the first round. Denver would have played the Sixers in the first round. You get a Embiid versus Joker
Hmm.
series,
Yeah,
first
that's
round.
getting
That's
hype, man.
great.
Yeah. So,
Minnesota versus the Lakers. Ant. Versus LeBron. Clippers versus the Magic. There's an interesting one. Your Mavs would have played the Cavs in the first round.
hmm
Knicks would have played the Suns, and then Bucks and Pelicans would have squared off. Um,
it's an interesting
and then,
matchup.
yeah,
I mean, if you,
uh,
because realistically, I mean, if you had like, if Zion's healthy, Zion versus a healthy Giannis, I mean, that,
that's a hell of a
who would
matchup.
want to
Yeah,
see who would want to see that for
yeah,
5 games or so?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just something to think on.
Right.
But so if we have some, you know, we might do that a time or two again this summer before we start talking college football and football previews and stuff, just to fill some time, generate some conversation.
Right.
But that's pretty much all we got to talk about this week. So let's go ahead, Greg. What's been done up real good for you lately?
No, that up for me real good. Just hanging out this weekend. Went to finally saw Inside Out too. So
Oh,
big
how'd you
for my
like it?
son. I mean, I like it. It's cleverly done. It's well done. It's a good message. My son really loves the Inside Out series, so he was thrilled to see it. I mean, I would say, man, if anybody who hasn't seen it or you have kids, whether if, they're kind of in that elementary, high school, just I think it's a good movie. Has a good message, and I would say it's probably I guess the highlight of the week this past week. Other than that, just making it through the summer. I guess just trying to prolong it because it's going fast. What are we almost to mid July? Man,
Right.
it flies by. How about you?
I'll just give I had a good holiday weekend as well. Nothing too special. I'm getting to that age now where I'm, want to get annoyed by the late night fireworks. My poor dog. She hates it, and that's kind of a newer thing. She actually used to never care about storms or fireworks, and
Right.
then I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but we were out in the backyard, and this kid in the apartment complex right behind our yard shot off one, and it was loud, and that just scared her. She ran under the deck, had to like pick her up to take her inside. Poor thing,
Oh,
scared, and now
yeah.
now she hates it. So she was following me, and they were yeah, it's one thing. It's going to happen. It's okay. And then, of course, they were going till like 1:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she was
Oh
like
yeah.
back with me in my office underneath my desk,
Pacing. Yeah.
poor thing. Yeah. But
Yeah. I
but
mean,
I was gonna say what done up real good specifically was just air conditioning. Always worth a shout out every year,
shout
man.
out for sure.
Yeah. Uh, it's hot and AC is beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
we
And you don't
we
ever
replaced our
take
yeah.
it for granted until it goes out on you. A couple
Hmm.
years ago, we had our there's something we can fix, but when it goes out in June, July, man, you
Ooh,
realize,
yeah.
wow, just how big it's one of those things you take for granted until it's not there, and you're like, man,
Mhm. Yeah, it's one of those, and particularly in areas like where we live, it's crucial.
oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
there's no way you can make it really.
No,
It's
we've had our heat break down a couple times since moving here, and it's been cold. But a couple space heaters have
doable,
done the trick for
right? But
a night or two till you get it. But now, yeah, no, there's
mhm,
no way in hell if our AC
no,
went down. Of
so,
course, we got the new one in the late winter, but
right.
I'd be in a hotel until it was fixed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
no,
doable just because
no,
it's especially when you got kids and different things, pets. Like, yeah, it's not.
yeah, no.
I don't even know how people in past generations, even before
Hmm.
the 18, 17, and even 1900s, how they even how they even did it. Who knows?
No, yeah. Wasn't that quite as hot, but yeah, no. Oof. But yeah, that does it for us this week. As always, thank y'all for listening. Tell your friends about us, subscribe, like us, follow us on the social medias. Um, Hopefully, no problems with the recording this week. We had to re-record last week, and there still
Oh
was
yeah.
about 5 minutes when I just went silent again. So we'll see. Trying some things. We'll see if they work. But yeah, like we said, we should be back at y'all next week. Might not have a lot to talk about again, so I might have to think of some other
Yeah. Should
conversation
have
idea to throw your
some
way.
stuff. I mean, we do have the SEC Media Days coming up. I think
Yeah.
this coming up week we'll at least have some stuff. I'm sure we can. Hopefully, there'll be some good lines or something. I don't
Hmm.
know. Get some. Yeah, and pretty soon we'll get on previews and stuff because that's how we kind of have now. Is we get into that now almost football season, almost
Hmm.
preview time, and that's always all the speculations are always a fun thing, but kind of that time of the year we're at.
Yeah, indeed. So, like I said, thanks for listening, folks. As always, check out the AlabamaTake.com and the entire family of Alabama Take podcast. I know the guys at the Alabama Slam. They've had a lot to talk about the past few weeks with
Yeah.
Forbidden Door and AEW. Had Money in the Bank this past weekend. Did you get to watch Money in the Bank?
I did. I saw it.
It was a good one, man. It's a good pay per view. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, for the not the one of the major ones, I thought it was insane. I think the CM Punk, the CM Punk
Mm,
storyline with Drew McIntyre, I think is hilarious. I know some people don't like it per se, but I think it's pretty great. And then getting Seth now involved in that storyline also is fun
yeah,
there because of course him and CM Punk have had their issues over the years, as we know, whether real or not. But I think I like. I'm in a kind of interested where the bloodline's going. I think that's entertaining. So.
yeah. I'm a fan of I think it's been a good transition to the post Roman era. They
Hmm.
talked about Roman, so obviously when he's coming back, he's going to be a face now again.
All right.
And what they did with Paul Heyman and all that, I kind of like that direction though, with the
Mm-hmm.
solo led. bloodline with those guys. There's a certain like violence to them.
Yeah, I like it. It kind of
Yeah,
like the I don't know. It's kind of like the early start to the NWO in a way. Kind of
yeah,
they were, they came in tough and rough. The days of when Kevin Nash like Rey Mysterio into the trailer. Then that's kind of how they are. They they're rough. They beat you up. Before it kind of got way too big and out of control. But
yeah,
I like where that was going. The crazy thing with the bloodline though is like you could have so many angles of it because there's so many different people that you can bring in from the different families
yeah,
involved with the
yeah,
bloodline. There's so many talented wrestlers that still aren't even involved. There's speculation they're gonna have some more people. So and I think they're doing a good job with what they're doing with that whole storyline there. So it'll be fun.
yeah. No, I'm excited to see where that
Okay.
goes there.
All right. And then one other thing you had mentioned with wrestling. I know we're keep on going here, but you know, and he's done it before. But man, if they could get Cody to turn into a bad guy again, that would be great. Because I've seen some
Yeah,
clips when he was for a little bit, and it's funny. His little stint right now. Everyone's so the story and winning the title, and that was a big thing. But now it's kind of like now we're kind of here, and it's not. I don't think anybody is enjoying it as much as they thought they would. You know,
yeah. This is something I talk about with a friend of the Alabama Take, David Smith, a lot. Cody just does not do it for me as a face. Just something about him. He's got a very punchable face.
he does.
The neck tattoo, even his nickname, the American Nightmare. That's a
Yeah,
heel name.
yeah,
I know the guys at the Slam. They can explain, why he is a great face, and obviously, people do support him. He moves merch.
yeah. No.
It's what he wants. But I just, yeah, to me, he would make such a great heel, kind of the
I mean, we've seen
antithesis of
it.
of
He's
his
done it
dad.
before.
Yeah,
I
yeah, he's
mean,
been
he's
great.
done it.
The dashing Cody Rhodes back in the
Yeah.
days, time of the legacy, the face mask wearing Cody Rhodes.
Hmm.
He can do it. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I think at some point, let him have his face run. But I think at some point you might, if it's the talk of does he keep it till next WrestleMania and fight The Rock or whatever. It's like, oh
Exactly.
man, that's I don't. Does he not get stale before then? You know, and he just the suits he wears. I just think he's a natural. Is that kind of
Yeah.
rich boy, privileged, cocky
Yeah.
heel that's great at what he does.
Yeah. For sure.
Maybe even build a small kind of faction stable around him. Have lackeys, something like there. But
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I
Yeah,
I
I've always
definitely
viewed him
there's
as
a
a
way
heel.
way to go there. Just because I don't
Mhm.
know this, you can only go into so many arenas and say the same line. What do you want to talk about? And everybody, you know, it seems like it's the same thing every week.
Hmm.
He beat Roman, and that was a cool little storyline. But after that, what do we get into? What's the next big thing for him there? And I don't know.
Yeah, and
As a good guy,
not
what you get
every
from that.
not every feud has to be A plus, but it hasn't been much, and we're coming up on SummerSlam, and I don't know who is it Solo, or which is just
It seems like that's where we're going, but
and is that just a vehicle
that,
for a Roman return? Then like where do we really go here?
nah,
Yeah, we need.
right. I would if we're gonna go with Roman coming back. And I've seen rumors that they want to do the old bloodline, like it's gonna be Roman, James, Jimmy against the new guys. That's somewhat kind of cool in a way, but I don't know if they're gonna do that or go that down the line. I mean, some of the stuff is cool. I don't know. But yeah, I don't. Cody, I mean, he it seems like a super nice guy and he loves the fans. I mean, he takes high fives everybody. I mean, he gives them some time, but and then his song is catchy. But I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, but yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Just strikes me more as a heel. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that should do it for us. We'll
that'll
see
do it.
you next week.
Yep.
Uh, hopefully, maybe we'll have some big NBA trades.
All right.
One more week of baseball before the All Star break, the finals, and both the big soccer tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have some more to talk about, or if not, I'll try to think of some other weird idea, or whatever. But
Find something.
y'all keep it done up real good yourselves out there, Greg, man. Till next time, I'll see you, bud.
Yes, sir.